inevitably, it'll turn 3 minutes, we'll get going, and then we'll get a string of bing bongs, right? That inevitably happens. Doesn't matter when you start. That's whenever you decide to start, then come a bunch of entrants. All right, so it's officially 3 minutes after. So let's get going with the folks we have here. Like I mentioned, I'm pretty confident we'll have a couple people join as we move forward, but thank you all for coming today to the monthly ILP community call. One quick announcement is that I have joined Vineel in helping to run this community call going forward. So it'll be Vineel and I hosting and planning and facilitating. We plan on making, some changes and adding some features and some fun things to the meeting over these next couple of months. So if you have any ideas or thoughts about features, topics to cover, other things that you can communicate to Vineel and I that make this meeting more useful to you all, we will certainly take that into consideration, and we'd be excited to hear from you. So just reach out to Vineel and I, or both via the Slack, via Slack or via our email address. It's vineel@interledger.org. It is chris@interledger.org. And we can be in conversation about how this meeting can best serve you all. The point of this meeting really is the sort of technical community call. It's once a month. We think it's really brings a lot of value to a lot of folks. We've seen a lot of growth in the participation in this meeting over the last probably 3 or 4 months. And so we want to make sure that it is providing the right amount of information and value. So doors are open for ideas. So we kick off this meeting here, and obviously there has been some news in the ecosystem since the last time we all met, and certainly over the last few days. So I'm actually going to hand it over to ILF's Executive Director, Brianna Marbury. Brianna, if you're there, and she can say a couple words about that and say some next steps for ILF.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here, Chris. I know everyone has come today to find out what is going on with Coil, what does that mean for ILF? And we happen to have a town hall tomorrow at 10 a.m. Someone will post the link about it. So we're not going to talk about Coil that much in this call today. And there's a running conversation in the community space, and we welcome you to post there, ask any questions, have any comments. What I will say, and what I said in our statement that we posted, is that the Interledger Foundation is independent. We've always been independent of Coil. And even though Coil was built on the Interledger Protocol, which is an open standard, that means as a community, we can continue to build on the foundations and create a stronger ecosystem moving forward. What happens next? We have to decide that. Our role is to be a champion of the open standard and protocol, make the space available for people to connect and learn from each other, and continue to support innovation through our grants. And over the next couple of weeks, we're still in conversations with Coil and what exactly that means for us. And again, if you have any ideas, we want to continue to build the ecosystem, build monetization. What will it take to fill that gap that Coil is leaving? We don't know, and we'll be figuring that out over the next couple of weeks. So, Chris, back to you. No, Chris is frozen. Is Chris frozen for other people or just me? My computer's acting crazy.
I think it's frozen.
All right, so I guess I will take it over since Chris is frozen. There is a new web monetization spec coming soon. And for that, I will actually pass it over to Alex to let him talk about more.
Yeah, thank you. So we've been working on the webinization spec intensely. We had the version that's supported in the extension, and then we had some conversations with the folks at Google and with some of the extension developers. And one of the suggestions that came up around the time of the summit was to switch out or payment currency to be more similar to the way the payment request API is doing it in Chrome and app in Safari. So we looked at that, we made the change. It makes asset code and asset scale and amount kind of combined together in an object. We ran that by the Google team. They're very happy with the change. They're very supportive of having both of these APIs look a bit more similar. We've made that change in the spec and it passed through the Google inspection. Nick, the extension developer, is working on actually changing the extension to match that new version of the spec. And we're going to release both as soon as the extension has been tested and updated in whole. I've also got a side update, and that's the fact that we are starting the implementation process. We're starting to interact with Igalia a bit more. They think they have somebody that's ready to start. So we're going to start planning the work that goes into Chromium as well in the coming month. Yeah, like that's the weaponization update.
Thanks. I'll hand it back over to Chris now that he's unfrozen. Oh, now we can't hear you. We still can't hear you.
You can't?
Now we can.
Okay. Thanks, Alex. So, I think not only is some of this stuff not stopping, but we have some exciting updates. I think the web monetization spec update is a big one. So, things are moving forward always. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quick, and then I'm going to hand it over to Adrian at Fynbos for his update, is that another thing that we're excited about introducing to the ecosystem here over the next couple weeks is that we're close to finalizing a strategic partnership with Fynbos and the Fynbos team. Essentially, this would allow us to subsidize Fynbos's growth, and this really would subsidize a couple things. One, members. So it allows Fynbos to be aggressive, signing up members for their ILP-enabled digital wallet without having to take on a bunch of front-end costs or turn those costs over to those new accounts. So it saves membership fees. It also helps subsidize their entry into new regions. Right now they're going to be just US dollars and US only, but the idea is that starts rolling out into new regions and that we help subsidize that process as well. So not only is there an updated to the web monetization spec coming, there is also, I think, a partnership between ILF and Fynbos that's going to really be some, rocket fuel into the ecosystem in terms of allowing people to have more capabilities, start to play and start to actually see the growth of ILP. So I think with that, I'll give the natural hand off to Adrian at Fynbos for your update.
Hey, Chris, thanks very much. Yeah, so update from our side, a couple of things. Let me follow on from that that point. Yeah, we're very excited to kind of finalize the deal with the ILF. I think last few things to finalize, and then we should have that in place. Specifically, what that's going to help us with is, as Chris says, is growth. So as a startup, we've got a pretty fixed runway, which covers our costs as a business, paying the team and our office and so on. We operate pretty lean. We're doing pretty well from that perspective. But one thing that any startup in this space faces is the threat of basically becoming the victims of their own success. So every user we sign up, there's costs involved for us. An onboarding fee from our FI partners. Every transaction they do, there's a cost for us, and there's ongoing fees in that regard. We don't want that to get in the way of us using our wallet and Interledger a superior experience to anything else out there. So the whole idea is we want people to be able to sign up for Fynbos's wallet for free, fund the wallet for free, withdraw for free, send payments for free. That's obviously not going to last forever. We will eventually get to a point where we have to figure out a decent revenue model that covers those costs. But the name of the game in payments is scale. We can't do that until we've got some scale and until the network as a whole has scale. And so the ILF have generously, subsidizing some of those basic unit economics for us to make it possible to scale up our user base, scale up the number of jurisdictions that we can cover, and without, basically burning our runway too quickly. So very excited to get that finalized. And on that note, our very first jurisdiction is now live. We've managed to finish our full compliance audit and all of the requirements for the US. We have been sending emails out this week. We started on Monday sending emails to folks on our waiting list. Anyone who signed up on the waiting list and is a US resident should have got an email yesterday, or will get one in the next day or two, asking them to complete the sign up. And then, we've been getting some great feedback. What you can do today: sign up, go through a very light KYC process, pick your payment pointer, fund your wallet from a debit card, withdraw funds from a bank account. So far, one or two minor little hitches in the KYC process, which we're ironing out, has only affected probably about 10% of the people signing up, and it's mostly stuff that's fixable. So we have some pretty stringent address checks that we maybe need to have a backup plan for if you don't pass the address checks, that we go into a sort of manual process, things like that. But otherwise, really positive how things have been received so far, and very excited for more people to get to play with it. Obviously, a lot of you on this call are not based in the US, and so the update for you is that we've got multiple conversations going on with various partners to try and unlock new jurisdictions. We're currently looking at the UK and Europe as a priority, but also talking to folks about getting enabled in South Africa. Obviously, most of our team is based here, but we did want to target the biggest markets we can initially to try and get the most impact for Fynbos. Have been having some conversation with folks interested in launching wallets in other jurisdictions. We're really keen to help where we can. We can give you some feedback on the lessons we've learned along the way. I would say that the two basic prerequisites you're going to need is either a money transfer license, a banking license, or a partner who has one of those. So obviously historically building on top of crypto made things really easy to a point. Well, as soon as you want to plug into traditional financial ecosystem, be able to use credit cards, bank accounts, and so on, it's really challenging if you don't have a partner that is licensed and can plug you into the system. So for us, that's a bank in the US and a technology partner that works with them. In different jurisdictions, is going to work differently. The way non-bank participants get involved in payments is completely different in every jurisdiction. So I know in Europe, for example, we would not need a bank. We would get involved with an e-money issuer or get our own e-money license or e-money distributor license. In South Africa, it would have to be through a bank. So it's going to vary for different jurisdictions. If you have that set up wherever you're operating and you're keen to work with us to peer so that we can interoperate with each other, just drop me an email. Let's figure that out. But I would say step one, understand the flow of funds, understand how money is going to get into your users' accounts, how it's going to get out. And then the last step is, okay, how does it get from my users' accounts to other people on the Interledger network? And that's generally the most important thing, is going to be the settlement partner, the bank or the money transfer operator that's going to settle those funds either to our bank or to our partner or to another bank or partner of somebody else who's on the network. So following on from that, we've had we had a call this week with Uphold. We were really keen to make sure we were able to send to Uphold payment pointers as soon as possible. That does require us to get a settlement arrangement in place, and we've been pushing for that for probably 6 months or so. So we'll keep pushing on that and hopefully have that resolved fairly soon. And then last but not least, web monetization. Yeah, so building on Alex's report around the spec, we're excited to enable that for people. Obviously, more details in the town hall tomorrow if folks want to talk about WebMo and Coil and how we fill that in. But something that we had already been working on before Coil made their announcement is the ability for folks to sign up with us in the US and get a business account and be able to do WebMo disbursements to our users. So Coil was going to follow that model. Anybody else who wants to take Coil's place, become a WebMo provider, be able to send web monetization payments, we can support you in the US. Hopefully we can support you beyond the US soon. But the process there would be that we open a business account for you. We've already had this flow of funds vetted by our program administrator, our bank partner, and you'll open that account and you'll be able to send web monetization payments to any of our users and in future anybody else with a payment pointer. So quite excited to get that working and get people building on that as soon as we can. That I think is the full summary from the Fynbos side. Obviously quite a few things there, so happy to take questions if there are.
Adrian, is every state in the US approved?
Yeah, so we have no state restrictions because our partner is a bank, or they have a bank partner that they're working with. So it's a combination of the partner we're working with actually has a money transfer license outside of the US, but also has banking relationships in the US. So what we're approved for, and this is the challenge, right, is I think we didn't appreciate it fully before, and this is what everyone needs to appreciate now, is to get approved to move money around isn't as simple as somebody just ticking some boxes. They want to know what the use case is. They want to know the amounts. They want to know who you're sending to or who you're receiving from. So the process, for example, for us to peer with someone is that our bank or our financial services partner has to actually do a due diligence on the counterparty on the other side, make sure that their onboarding process is up to scratch, and they will do the same back to us. Because if one of our users is sending money, even though it's via Interledger, if they're sending money to somebody on the other side of the world and our bank isn't comfortable that they know who that person is or that that person's at least known to their institution, then we're in breach of the compliance rules that our bank is subject to. So it is complicated, and we're trying to sort of whittle away at the complexity and make it a little more simple. But yeah, in the US, you can get money service business licenses on a state-by-state basis, but as a bank, you have, if you're federally chartered, you're fully covered.
That's awesome, thank you. And so the amounts, probably it doesn't matter what. There's no limit.
We've stayed pretty conservative, so we've set some fairly low limits initially, just while we get started. All of that is subject to discussing with our bank partner, and it will be also vary based on the use case. So one of our biggest challenges actually has been enabling Interledger for e-commerce. So e-commerce introduces a whole new challenge where if we want our business customers to be able to receive payments from end users, in other words, a consumer to business, there's a whole new set of requirements that we have to look at for those businesses. Now, our partner is keen to do that with us, and we're in the process of working it through. But we'll have a whole list of restricted businesses, for example, that we can't enable that use case for, like gambling and adult industry and so on. And that's out of our control. That's what the bank says. And it's generally nothing to do with the bank doesn't like that kind of a business. It's purely a risk thing. The bank they don't know us. We've only just started transacting with them. This is all new stuff. And so like any, bank, they're very conservative and are going to say, well, let's start small amounts, limited set of merchant types, limited set of use cases, and kind of grow from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. So, it's a lot of good, actually positive momentum here, and we'll follow it up. Sabine, Max, give us a bit of the Rafiki update, and then that'll transition into Alex, who will set up our deep dive guest today to talk about the testnet. So let me hand it over to the Rafiki team.
I don't know if Max prepared for that. I prepared for this, so I'll give an update. So what has been going on? I think the biggest thing we are working on right now is working on a replacement for the time being for Tiger Beetle, because Tiger Beetle isn't production ready and won't be for the next 6 months or so. But we want Rafiki to be production ready, so we are adding capabilities to do the accounting with them in a Postgres database instead of Tiger Beetle. So that's taking up most of our time right now. But we've also been making the final bug fixes of those that we found and upgrading Tiger Beetle, even though it's not production ready, updating to the last version of Tiger Beetle and its Node client. We've also been working on the admin UI. Sarah, who has been working on that, went on maternity leave, and Radu from the Breakpoint team took over and is making progress there. And then, regarding the elephant in the room, what is going to happen to Rafiki once Coil doesn't exist anymore? We have been in the progress of transitioning Rafiki ownership to the ILF already, because Rafiki essentially is infrastructure, and anything infrastructure related should just sit within the ILF. So we'll continue to do that and make sure that knowledge transfer is happening and that Rafiki then thrives within the ILF.
Awesome.
And that's the update.
Thank you. So Alex, I'll let you transition here into some testnet demo.
Right. So if you've been on this call for a while, you've probably heard about the testnet for the past few months. If you haven't, the reason we are looking at building a test network is because, as Sabine said, Rafiki is infrastructure. It's not very user-friendly. It was never designed for users. It was designed for wallets to build up faster Interledger capabilities without having to develop the protocol from scratch. So while it's a service, it doesn't have a lot of user-facing components. That means also integrating with it takes a little bit of time, because you have to spin up a few Rafiki instances, connect them together, and then start sending transactions, all doing that without any interface with APIs and code. So we thought we should make it easier for people who want to develop with Rafiki to be able to test their Rafiki integration against something that's publicly available, instead of having to basically spin up 2 versions of their service. We should build a public test network that allows everybody with the Rafiki instance to connect to it, peer with it, and start sending play money transactions into it. So that should make everybody that's a grantee and is trying to become a digital wallet easier to develop and integrate. At the same time, Rafiki also enables this new set of APIs, the open payment APIs, which allow developers to kind of build applications on top of it. And we wanted to have a publicly available version of open payment API for people who want to develop applications on top of Interledger. So the test network also allows you to do that. That being said, we are developing the testnet. We started developing the testnet with engineers from Breakpoint. You've seen them on the call already. Timea is here, and Timea is going to show you what the testnet designs look like, what we're up to until now, and a little bit of a timeline of what we're doing with the test network. Timea?
Yes, hello. Thank you, Alex. Hello, everyone. So before I actually start the presentation, I have 2 things to say. I have a little bit of a cold, so my voice is not 100%, but if this is okay, hopefully it lasts. And second, sometimes Google Meets freezes at my side, but it usually bounces back. So if that happens, just wait for me. Okay, let's share my screen. And tell me if you see my screen, please.
We don't yet.
Hopefully it lets me do this. Yep. Why? I don't know why it's blocked at my side though. Probably it's some kind of settings.
If you want to, if it's a link and you want to give it over us, we can see if we can share it for you in Drive.
It's not a link. It's not a link. I have it locally. I cannot find the setting. If you know where the setting is that I am allowed to share the screen, because the button is disabled for me, but maybe if I rejoin, let me just try to rejoin again. 1 sec.
Vineel, do you know how to make sure it's enabled to have anyone be able to share?
I'm the meeting host. I think I'm the only one who can change those settings. As soon as Timea joins again, I'll make her meeting host so she could share. Okay, Timea looks to be back. Okay, Timea, you're a co-host now. You should be able to share your screen. Timea?
Is she back?
Not yet.
I can't see what's happening. It feels like it's we have a ghost Timea on the call.
Well, Alex, do you want to do if you can do a little bit more setup on what they've been working on or what we're about to see?
No. So yeah, sure. So you've all seen the explainer video. The stickers at the summit, the graphics at the summit, and everybody has expressed a lot of love for those visuals. So we've used Modelina, the same designer that came up with that with that branding aspect, to do the wallet and the bank as well. So as part of the test network, we're trying to build a reference bank and a reference digital wallet. And we've used Modelina to do the designs, so they look very similar to the same. There's the same look and feel as we had for the Interledger Summit. Timea is going to talk a bit about what we're actually building as part of the test network, but one of the most important features of the test network is not only the ability to get an account and try to send money around, but also the ability to auto-peer with the test network. So right now, if you're trying to peer to Rafiki instances, you have to be very specific. You have to peer both of them at the same time, which requires human interaction. It's not an automatic process, and that's by design. You wouldn't want, as a bank, to be able to peer with absolutely everybody. That requires an actual contract. But for the purposes of the test network, you wanted to be able to auto-peer with everybody who's running even a local Rafiki instance, to be able to peer into that. And that piece of infrastructure is being built as part of the test network. And that's very exciting because it allows you to just spin up a local Rafiki instance and send money into the test network at the same time.
Are we back?
No. We can't hear you, Timea.
Oh boy.
Oh, beautiful technology. Okay. Give me a second.
Yep. You don't happen to have the demo on your desktop, do you, Alex?
The presentation, no. No. Let me. I can't see Timea back in the call.
Well,
She joined from a different machine. I can see the new Timea now.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh my God, yes,
Okay.
technology. I heard everything you said, but it's so crazy. I am so sorry. And I will probably just send Alex the slides, okay? And I will present, but he will show you the slides. So just one sec, I will send him. We will make this work, don't worry.
You can see absolutely everybody's interested in your presentation, Timea, by the fact that we haven't lost a single person while we had technical difficulties. Yeah, I think we even got somebody extra joined just for the presentation. We didn't drop anyone else.
Okay, so I sent you, Alex, the presentation. Do you have it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
then
run it
please
from my.
try to share the screen. I won't be long. The presentation is not long, so. It would be weird if you couldn't share. Okay, great. We have a winner. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, I will presenting you a little bit of details about testnet, which is basically a Rafiki playground. And yeah, go ahead. The short summary would be, I want to present to you the team. I will present to you a flowchart that we shared with Alex initially to see the main features of testnet. I can show you some initial designs of the wallet, mainly mobile, but also some desktop designs are there as well. And then some short technical details that we decided with the team. And at the very end, you can, of course, ask some questions. Yep. Let's meet the team. So this is in order of people joining. Radu was mentioned already in the meeting because he is the first one who joined, and he is very active helping the Rafiki team as well. And he always likes to have challenges in the personal life and in development as well, because he strives in them. And he is from Romania, initially Constanța, but now he lives in Bucharest. Next one would be actually me. So I have been a front-end developer for quite a few years now. And I am also from Romania, Cluj-Napoca. As a hobby, I really, really love to travel, play some board games, and I love to sing, not with this voice, but with a better voice. Next one would be, I think, Rico. Yes, he is actually from Helsinki, Finland. And he is a full-stack developer. He loves to cook, so you can ask him for recipes. Next one would be Dragos. He is from Moldova, Republic of Moldova, Chisinau. He is also a software engineer and focused mainly on backend. And he loves, looks like football and traveling and concerts. And the last one on the team is Benny. He, as you can see in the picture, he's an avid sports and nutrition enthusiast. He really loves to snowboard. And he is a full-time developer and a full-time geek. That was the team. So this was the Breakpoint team. And what are we developing? We are developing testnet. Testnet is a Rafiki playground with play money. So all of the advantages that Rafiki gives will be present in the testnet as well. And we will have a wallet application, we will have a bank application, and we will have an e-commerce application. Basically, this e-commerce application will integrate the already existing one with the testnet design, so it's one big family. And one of the major things that the wallet application will have is this auto peering that Alex already mentioned. So you can actually ask to peer, if you're using Rafiki, you can peer with testnet, with the testnet wallet. So this would be an interesting feature to develop and to have. So testnet will just show everyone what Rafiki is capable of, and you can play around it. You can use open payments and see what's all about. Let's see some initial designs. No, it's the wallet flow first. Yes, so I will show you the main features that we'll be developing initially. There is, of course, an identity provider, which consists of login and registering for the wallet. You will have to complete the KYC wallet. The KYC will be a bit different for the bank, but that's another thing that we will be doing further on. The main focus right now is the wallet. And if you log in, then you will have the account provider where you will have the list of accounts that you have. You will be able to create a new account with payment pointers. And you will be able to manage this account. You will have an account overview. So you will have a list of accounts, and inside an account, a list of payment pointers. And in the payment pointers, you can view your transactions. You can pay money, you can request money, and you can fund your account with Play Money. And of course, the transactions will be like outgoing payment, incoming payments, and there will be some filtering options here, probably like pending, funding, completed. So these would be the main features of the wallet. Some things we'll add, we will see, it's still in discussions. And initial designs, these are for mobile. Some login page, create account, and complete KYC for the wallet. And then you will have the list of accounts on the first screen. And when you enter an account, the list of payment pointers. And when you go to a payment pointer, the list of transactions. And of course, the buttons to pay, to send, to request, to exchange maybe some money. And the next one would be exactly the pay, send, request screens. Some beautiful designs here for mobile, and they will be the same kind of for desktop as well, just some extra design elements there, but the functionality is the same. And some boring technical details right now. For front end, the team decided that we will be using Next.js for a framework. And for CSS framework, we will be using Tailwind, which is very well integrated with Next.js. And we already started developing a little bit of front end, and it's going really nicely together. And for the backend, mainly the backend guys decided that Express would be the best framework to use for testnet. DB is Postgres. The object relational mapping would be Objection, and the query builder would be the Kinex. We will be also doing some testing, of course. Front end probably will be Playwright for end-to-end testing. I didn't write that down, but that's also good to know that we will test this as well. And the next slide would be, okay.
That's empty. So the testnet repo is under the Interledger organization. It's called testnet. You can follow along the progress as it's happening. It's open source.
Yeah, so it's named testnet, and you will have the issues list there as well. We have a lot of issues. How come this slide is empty? Interesting.
It's probably because you send me a PowerPoint and I'm on a Mac, and PowerPoints on Mac don't work very well.
Oh, okay. Yes, but it's in the Interledger repository. It's public, so just search for testnet and you will find it there. And the last one would be, if you have any questions for me, for Alex, for the team who is present.
Any questions for Timea or anyone
There
else?
is one question in the chat.
Go for it. Vineel, you want to read it off for us?
Yeah. So Adam has a question. If this testnet environment is on top of Rafiki production instance, or is it a Rafiki developer test environment?
It's the latest Rafiki. So it's always going to be updated to the release version. Right now, it's supposed to run on V1 Alpha, the one we're working on releasing, but the initial version is running on whatever the latest code in the Rafiki repo is. Because we are trying to use the testnet as a way to make sure Rafiki upgrades are compatible with themselves, to see what the migration path or the upgrade paths are. Whatever we're doing with Rafiki, we're going to deploy in the testnet first to be able to support our partners. We wouldn't want any of the wallet providers to try to deploy Rafiki in production without us knowing first what the repercussions of that are.
And our colleague Max was kind enough to put a direct link to the testnet GitHub repo right in the chat. So make sure if you need that, you grab it or open it in your browser before the Google Meet closes. So there is that. Any other questions about the testnet? I don't see anything else in the chat, but if someone wants to raise their hand and hit the hot mic, feel free to ask it.
Yeah, Roberto here from the People's Clearinghouse. A question. So what is more or less the timeline that we're thinking of for the testnet to be ready with this wallet Rafiki implementation?
So we're looking at an MVP at the end of March, with the next set of functionalities after the MVP being the capacity to auto-peer with it. So the timeline is MVP of the wallet, auto-peering with the wallet, finish up the wallet with polish, and then doing the bank and peering the bank with the wallet. There's also another surprise for the testnet, because anybody can peer with the testnet. We're working with Mojaloop on a Rafiki proxy in Mojaloop, and a third component later in the year would be to put a Rafiki instance on the testnet, peer with the testnet as well. And I feel like every single reference implementation that we'll end up doing will get peered with the test network.
Okay, wonderful. I'm asking Alex because we had a meeting with Michael Richards to discuss this precisely for a Rafiki Mojaloop implementation, and we may want to do something with the Mojaloop toolkit, implementing ILP through Rafiki, at least in the toolkit for March. I don't know if this could be used somehow. Maybe we could do a meeting at some point, because it's realistic to in a month.
So we could peer them. We could peer them if you manage to do toolkit by March, right? There's going to be a running Rafiki instance in the testnet, and while the auto peering is not going to be available by then, we can manually peer them because we have a running Rafiki instance, right? So we can manually peer them to begin with, and then we can work out the timeline later. But yes, I'd love to talk about that.
Amazing, thanks.
And just so everybody knows, when it's available, the MVP beta testnet in March, if you're one of our current financial service grantees, you will get that emailed directly to you and updated, and probably an invitation to most in the community to kick the tires on that. So it won't be something like you have to go out and find when we release it. We will make sure we walk it to you as soon as it's available for you to use, play with. And what Timea called it, the Rafiki Playground. So when the Rafiki Playground is open, we will make sure that you have that invitation right in your inboxes or in other ways in which you can find it directly. Anybody else have anything they would like to ask, say, state before we draw this to a close?
If not, then thank you for the for your patience in for starting this. So thank you for your attention.
Of course, it was worth the wait. It's exciting to see this come about. I think everyone was excited to see it and start to play with it. So it was worth a few minutes of of awkward tech fumbling, which is pretty par for the course. We're all used to it. All right, with that, I'll just give a couple quick plugs. One, if you, I just saw a quick question. When will Grant for the Web be open this year? You know, Grant for the Web really, you know, is any grant making, you know, we do, or Grant for the Web is very specific towards web monetization. So there isn't anything necessarily specifically called that coming out, but we will have a bunch of grant opportunities coming out this year. The first one coming out in a couple weeks, and there will be more opportunities throughout the year on a whole bunch of different levels. It'll be more active on the grant front than the previous year. So I would just say stay tuned on that. But the first grant opportunity should be opening soon, with more to follow. So let me say a couple things. One, we have the community town hall about web monetization and moving forward post Coil news. The Eventbrite is in the chat, and you can reach out to Vineel or I if you didn't get it. We can give it to you there. We've got our running commentary in the community space where people are asking questions and raising ideas. We'll use that tomorrow, and we'll continue to use that space going forward after tomorrow. So those things are all there for you to engage with. I want to thank Timea and Breakpoint, obviously Alex and Adrian and Sabine. These are actually some super meaty updates. I think, you know, we really show that there is a lot of activity in the ecosystem and moving forward. It's why we're building on open standards and open protocols, right? So that these things can move forward even as ideas, projects, companies come and go. So it was actually pretty exciting to bring some real tangible updates to you all. And we will see you tomorrow. And a Slack channel, if you aren't there, that's always a place to raise questions or be in conversations, lots of different channels within that Slack. So join us there, but you should be able to find us in many ways. So we will see you soon.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks for the updates. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.